Hey everybody, it's your boy here, Baseman Awakes, checking in with you for my second video on my YouTube channel. Just want to thank you for tuning in and listening to my thoughts, my ideas, and my commentary. Now, what I'm going to be talking about is an issue that's very near and dear to my heart. Should I, as a black man, quote unquote successful black man, be investing in the black community? As I said before, this is an issue that's near and dear to my heart. I don't come from wealth. I don't come from means, actually. But at this point in my life, in my late 30s, I'm actually very, very comfortable. And that's something that I struggle with in terms of what I should be doing outside of, my job and my hobbies and just things that I want to invest in. And the reason why I have mixed feelings because I see the future. I mean, let's face it, this country is heading downhill fast. It's on decline. And the people who have the least and the people who are least organized, i.e., black people, are going to suffer the most. But the other side of that is that in recognizing with dealing with the black community and dealing with black people, it's kind of sad, but in many situations, I found that my biggest enemy in terms of me progressing has been black people. And as a black man, that's been very painful to acknowledge. Even as a kid growing up, the community as a whole, and this includes most of my family, never really gave me any support. I always felt like, and I was treated like I was a social outcast. Not to say that I didn't have friends, that I didn't get love, but it was definitely never a situation where I felt at home. Now, I mean, there's probably some things that I did that probably made that worse. I am a little hard-headed. I tend not to follow the crowd, so I'm pretty sure those things contribute to it. But it was definitely a feeling that I've always experienced, even up to this present day as a grown man, grown and mature and worldly man. So based on these experiences, I really had to ask myself, should I be invested in the black community? One, I want to see black people succeed. Two, we are in a competition against other racial groups, other nations, so on and so forth. And we need to think as a community. But it's kind of crazy, man, because in situations where we are the minority, I rarely ever encountered black people thinking as a community. Now, for example, in the workplace, I've been lucky enough or strategic enough to place myself in a white collar setting. So I have a white collar job and all the things that come with that. But even within this position, there's very few black people that work at the company that I'm employed by, and there's extremely small amount of black men. But in the few years that I've been on my job, the people who've given me the most headaches and the people that I've had to go out of my way and verbally check the most have been the black people, specifically the black women. And, going through that experience, like, especially when I would be cordial to people, try to give people advice, try to mentor them. And for the most part, that stuff would be thrown back in my face. And I don't want to talk like I'm a victim here because I'm not. And obviously, I recognize that there's always two sides to every story, but it's those type of things that made me question, like, so what? Why should I be investing in people who more than likely not won't appreciate what I'm doing? And again, I'm not looking for a thank you, but I'm not looking for a slap in the face either, right? And then it even comes that back down to my hometown, the city I grew up in, one of the poorest cities in this country. I could tell you stories, crazy stories about some of the things that I experienced growing up as a kid. There's certain parts of my life or my childhood that I literally had to suppress, where today as a grown man, I couldn't even tell you. There's like 3-6 month blocks that are totally erased from my mind because of the things that happened. And, one of the things that I made it a point to do, particularly when I was young, when I was in my 20s, was to volunteer, man. I did all types of volunteering, mentoring, Habitat for Humanity, all that other stuff, because I felt it was my duty to give back to my community. But for the most part, my community never appreciated it. Even when I would go out of my way to like mentor some of my younger family members, because unfortunately, a lot of the women in my family are single mothers. And I always felt, again, there was always that lurking feeling that I was like, a sucker. Like they didn't appreciate what I was doing for them. Like I'd be, they would ask me, can you be my child's godfather? I'd be like, of course. So, I'll get them gifts, take them out, do these things. But even though there was a thanks, but as men, we always know women give off this vibe. They give off that energy like you're a sucker. Even though you're doing something for them that helps them and they'll say thank you, but they still give you that vibe like you're a sucker. And I'm like, wow, I'm doing stuff for you that the man that created the child, which you ain't doing, but I'm a sucker. So it's like those type of experiences that really caused me to like wonder, like, yo, should I really be going out of my way to invest in a community that realistically, real talk, that didn't invest in me at all? Like I've had to struggle and stumble my way through manhood, and I've had to learn a lot of hard lessons, essentially on my own. So it's like putting all that together, it's really caused me to question whether or not I should be investing in the Black community. Um, my life is good, and my life has been good through me making a lot of sacrifices. Obviously, there were people there who helped me and helped to guide me, but at the core, it was me learning these lessons and getting to the point that I'm at on my own. So, with that being said, I'm gonna put these questions to you specifically, and this is a question that I think doesn't may not necessarily apply to Black people, but people who come from rough and tumble circumstances. Should you, after all the sacrifices that you've made, turn around and support a community that really maybe didn't help you at all? And this also applies to your family. I'm gonna leave you guys with that question. I'd love to hear your response in the comments. Baseman Awakens, checking with you later.